I considered retiring last night. From problems with the kids to the heat, and of course that little wake-up call from that bitch in Houston that shall remain nameless. I seriously thought about going back to Death Valley and just drinking beer. But writers do this. The reward for writing is simply has to be the inner satisfaction because there sure ain't no money in it. Peanut gallery back there. Still, it's gratifying to see the numbers climb and at least knowing that someone out there knows you're alive. Writing articles is far better than writing music. I did that in Nashville. Everything you ever heard about Nashville is a lie. It's worse. The music business is a little bit like playing roulette. There's one winner and 9 suckers. And the suckers hang on hoping Lady Luck will smile on them. While the ones who had a hit parade around Music Square, the rest hope to get a gig at a bar for the weekend. Then, of course, there's the writing part. In Austin, I thought I could pen a pretty good song. In Nashville, I learned that I heard a better song from a waitress who was pouring my coffee, and that's what's called a reality check. After I pawned my underwear, yes, you can do that in Nashville, I returned to Texas and I went into real estate. Did I tell you that writers are crazy? Well, that's what makes you indulge in something with absolutely no hope of return while you make millions in a legitimate vocation. Sell real estate all day and write all night. I ground out 3 books. I'd given up on music and turned to prose, but I brought something with me. Even though I'd never written a hit, I'd learned the mechanics of composition, and that translated into literature quite well. When a normal person tries to write, you usually get a kind of a bumpity-bump result. You've seen it. A friend gives you a story that they've written, and you have to read it because they're watching you. Well, songwriting is short, sweet, and it goes in circles. And the circles reinforce the main idea. Years later, I discovered blogging. You think you can't make money at music? Try blogging. But at least it doesn't cost anything. So I blogged and eventually accrued a fair number of these things with people reading and commenting. And for a writer, that's the hook right there. Someone who was overwhelmed by 2 drunks in a bar applauding will quickly swoon at 100 comments from the blog. At first, I didn't really have anything to blog about, so I wrote about music, and then I discovered politics. If there is anything stupider than a songwriter, it's a politician. See, people need to understand that. It's the same mentality that makes someone load their pickup with amps and drive 800 miles that will make a plumber put on a suit and drive to the state capitol. If you are writing about these people, the material is endless. To quote Will Rogers, you don't even have to joke. Just read the papers and report the facts. I elevated from blogging to writing articles. This is along the same line of difference between the girl who's standing under the street lamp and the one who has a regular room. But, and this is the hook, I began to get a substantial amount of reads, and after about, 3 years, I actually knew what I was talking about. Political satire was my forte. Reporting on this flock of liars was wonderful. Still, no money, but the gratification was fantastic. I actually did retire 3 years ago, so now I have the time and the money to write all I want. But it became a job with structure, hours, rules, and ways to see just how far this was going. Now, bear in mind, I don't have a life. I'm divorced, childless, old, but I do have a dog. It took about 3 years for me to wake up to this, and then I developed loneliness. Now, loneliness to me is an oxymoron because I enjoy solitude, and I'm actually put off by interruptions to my routine. Coffee, same time every morning, cigarette, read my reviews, and then write, publish, check the response, go to the store, retire to the porch around dusk, cocktails. If someone calls me during this routine, I become irritated, but somehow I became lonely. So last night, I decided to retire. I had visions of free days, no stress, not having to think or even be clever, and suddenly it hit me. We're all alone. Even in a crowded room, we're still just ourselves. I can be at a party and can't get a word in edgewise because I'm basically a very boring person. But when I write, well, it dawned on me. Writing is my life, and the money doesn't matter. By golly, I'm going to leave something. I woke up to this morning, and when I went to bed last night, I was determined to never pick up this iPad again. I did pick it up, and I wrote. I considered retiring last night.